Hey, it's Jessica. I'm on here with a motivational word. And in this word, I want to let you know that God wants you to stop giving up. Instead of giving up and operating in defeat, operating in sorrow and sadness, find some type of way to put faith on it instead. And God will respond to your faith. So for the past 2 years at least, I myself have dealt with wanting to give up due to the enemy attacking me with a deaf and dumb spirit on and off. And a deaf and dumb spirit is a spirit that causes you to be mute. And the enemy has attacked me with that spirit on and off as a way to prevent me from preaching. And to make a long story short, the enemy attacked me with this spirit recently. I was trying to preach a video and I just could not preach it. I was stumbling all over my words. But what I did this time though, when the enemy attacked me with that deaf and dumb spirit, was that I didn't give up. I told God, I said, you know what, God, I'm about to preach this word. I'm about to struggle through it and preach it. However, I got to do this. And I'm just going to have the faith that you're going to help me to do it. And to make a long story short, God responded to my faith. He responded to me not giving up. And he didn't respond to my faith by actually helping me to get done with that video. He responded to my faith by giving me a couple of ideas. The first idea that he gave me was to make that video I was trying to preach into a book, because I do write books as well. So he just told me, just make that video that you're trying to preach into a book. And the second idea he gave me was to, anytime this happens, when you feeling like you just can't preach a word that you're trying to preach, just make that word into a book. So now I have a number of books I'm sure I'll be able to write in the future, because this deaf and dumb spirit was something that I have dealt with so much. And I just wanted to use that as an example to inspire you to stop giving up. Instead, just have faith. The enemy is attacking you with something. Respond in faith and God will respond to your faith. Even Jesus would tell people, go in peace for your faith has made you well. So God responds when we operate in faith like that. I just encourage you to have an attitude like that about anything you're dealing with. Don't give up on anything, but have faith when it comes to everything. And something that I definitely want to mention too is different things that even you're going through for a long time. Even keep on responding in faith, even in those things. You might not come out of those different things that you've been going through for a long time when you want to come out. But this is honestly where obedience comes in. Obedience plays such a major role in not giving up, as well as in just having faith when it comes to different things. If you're dealing with different things and it's been a long time that you've been dealing with those things and you've tried to have faith, you feel like you're just not getting out of that stuff, you have to go beyond not giving up and giving God more obedience. Yes, you have faith, but also obedience is essential in order to get God to really respond to your faith powerfully. Because first of all, to be honest, it was actually disobedience that even caused the enemy to attack me with that deaf and dumb spirit recently. It was an instruction that I didn't follow, that God gave me to follow. And because of that, the enemy, he attacked me with that deaf and dumb spirit. But even me operating in faith in response to the enemy putting that deaf and dumb spirit on me, in that situation where I was in the wrong, and that's what caused the enemy to attack me with that deaf and dumb spirit, God still responded to my faith and he gave me those ideas. That goes to show the power of faith all by itself. Faith is that powerful. So I'm definitely encouraging you most definitely to stop giving up by having faith. Just apply faith in every situation and anything you can deal with. But I'm talking about obedience right now, the power of your obedience right now, because a lot of times we go through things for a long time, and it's our obedience that's going to be what's going to bring us out of those things. Not just having faith, because it was times where I was in sin and I had the faith, and God, he will move on my faith. I talk about how I used to masturbate and I used to be into pornography and I used to listen to all this secular music. So I had a lot of repetitive sin in my life. For the longest time though, I would do a lot of stuff out of faith. For example, I would do all this tithing and all this sowing out of faith, knowing I was masturbating and stuff and watching porn and listening to all this music that God kept telling me to stop. But, I still was doing that out of faith, hoping for financial miracles. And while I did not get the financial miracles that I wanted whatsoever, God would still respond even to all that tithing and sowing that I would do, not in the ways that I would want him to respond though. He responded by making sure I kept the job. I went through a lot of hardship on those jobs though. I was being worked like a Hebrew slave on those jobs though. I remember one time I sold $40, for example, into this woman's ministry, and I did this out of faith. I walked 40 minutes to the library because I didn't have no other way, and I was determined to sow this seed. I just did that out of faith. I was determined to sow this seed because I knew God was going to bless me as a result of sowing this seed. And it was just out of faith. Back then, though, I was masturbating and I had all this other sin in my life, though. But nevertheless, God responded to my faith. Even in that situation, he responded to me sowing that $40 seed by blessing me to get so many more hours at work. I started getting all this overtime at work, all this extra money at work. However, me working all that overtime came with a lot of sorrow because I didn't have no time to do nothing but work. And why was that? It's because I had all these sins in my life. I share that to emphasize the point that you can't be trying to operate in faith, but you got sin and disobedience in your life. You're not going to get blessed in response like how God really wants you to be blessed in response. He will definitely always respond to your faith because faith alone is that powerful. Like even when I was tithing and I was sowing, God made sure I had a place to stay all the time. It was times where I faced homelessness and he would make sure to provide me a place and just to make sure I kept the job because I was always tithing and sowing. But I hated those jobs and I couldn't stand where I lived and all of this. It was just a lot of sorrow because of all that disobedience. And not only that, since we're talking about not giving up, right? It was so many times where I just wanted to give up due to all that sorrow I was experiencing in my living situation with working on those jobs. You have to work around all these different people, and me, I just always knew that God had something better for me than those 9 to 5 jobs, and I worked on bottom of the barrel jobs. So I found myself in a place of wanting to give up so much from having to deal with all that for so long. The point though is, don't be letting sin and disobedience be what's causing you to want to give up left and right. And as I encourage you to stop giving up by having faith in different ways like that, don't be trying to have faith in different ways like that, but you know that you have sin and disobedience in your life. You're not going to get God's best for you trying to do it that way. Just don't give up by operating in faith from a place of obedience. So not giving up, faith and obedience are all things that work together to get God to move for you mightily. Okay, so that's the word. Stop giving up by once again having that attitude of faith, and apply that to any and everything. It don't matter what the enemy try to come at you with. Instead of getting upset and operating in defeat, just have an attitude of faith, and your faith will save you. God will respond to your faith. And if it's different things that you've been dealing with for a long time and you're just tired, you're tired of trying to have faith in those different situations, consider that you just need to be more obedient. Like, don't be letting disobedience be what's causing you to want to give up and having to even deal with that stuff. Your obedience will be most definitely what will get you out of that stuff. And that's it.